very soft. You've had a place out here for a long time.
Yeah, over
Buddy here was waiting up
Peter
the other spot.
Particular interest. I'm not very good at the fundraising and some of that stuff, but I love to build, and so as part of Orty, I took on sort of helping the engineers design and build, and the owners make up some of their minds about what they wanted to do. And one of the things we thought was important to build a little bit of a test section, and that's good for a bunch of reasons, and we're gonna walk you on at least a little bit of it tonight. One of the most important reasons is you get to see what it is we're building and raising money for. You get to tell other people what it's like and about, and other people can come and see it and come and do this. So again, thank you for coming out. I guess I'll start with a couple of words. The part that is probably the most important part is not actually that exciting. It's just wider. And that doesn't look that good. Like when you see it, you're going to go, oh, is that all? But I got to tell you strongly, I really believe that the width is what's going to serve us well. When we have pedestrians and cyclists and wheelchairs and dogs and kids, the more width we can have, the better, and it will last longer for the enjoyment of people. People won't enjoy it if it's too crowded. So I'm thrilled that we've taken the step to go to this width, that we can get it. This is about as wide as we can make it economically. You'll see up here, this is subgrade for the beginning part, and then we have a little bit of finish grade. We've made it even a little extra wider in here. This is 5 meters wide. And our minimum that we would like is a 4-meter pave with a little bit of a shoulder, so 4.6 is what we've told everybody that we're going to raise. And we'll get that almost everywhere except for where there's rock. If you walk to the end of this, there is rock, and you'll see it narrow up a little. And I think it looks lovely instead of having this industrial, through cut. But we're not going to get the width everywhere, but we'll try and make it wider beforehand and wider after. For what it's worth, this little test section was donated. I'll give Sherway their plug, a very generous man. His name is Dennis O'Rourke. He has a very large construction company, and he was very interested in trying to help us go forward, and he donated his heavy equipment for the last 2 weeks. And more importantly, he donated some of his brightest minds, and we really did have a good test section out here. And what we wanted to do was sort of verify some of our costs, some of our constructability, learn sort of what to do, what not to do, and it went very well. We learned a lot, and we feel solid in that the budget we have is good, and we know how to go about it. And we'll now get some buy-in from the various owners. Even the owners, we have 4 different owners. Even I'm sure they didn't quite know what 4.6 meters looks like, and so I think the test section has been a big success, and you're the first to see it. Hey! So we're going to walk this first piece, and you'll see it's narrow. It's the existing rail bed. We weren't allowed to work here because of the agricultural land. We do not have a permit yet in agricultural areas, and so we had to pick a chunk of trail where there was basically no permitting, no environmental, no land, no agricultural land, no archaeological. We had to find an area with sort of no constraints, and we found this kilometre and said let's go give it a try. As you walk down here, what I would get you to look at is how narrow it is, because I want us to celebrate the width. And you'll see that the vegetation is taking over, and that's 2 years since they stopped spraying. So just to give you a feel for how quickly stuff comes back, it comes back quickly. Okay, so let's walk on down, and I'll stop. Where did you get to?
It's up to 125,000 hectares now.
Just asked here, this is an agricultural crossing, totally legit. There are hundreds of them on the right-of-way. They had a lease with CN, they now have a lease with the current landowners, and it will continue. So, and there's other leases, there's water crossings and some other things. So what will happen is, in this situation, they get a stop sign and the cyclists get to go through, but they will always be able to cross. And we will not block them, and won't. And we're going to gravel about 5 meters into their area, to be sort of good neighbors. And this is a good stopping point, actually. Just the ribbon up here is where we started, and I wanted to show you how narrow it is and the vegetation. It got a little bit wider where the grader started right here, and then you're going to go on to the 5 meters, and I'm going to walk a little ways further, and there is no surface treatment. It's actually raw subgrade, 5 meters wide, a little bit wider, right through the beginning here, and I'll stop where the first kind of gravel starts.
So you'd be expecting to put a finish?
We will put one on here. The logic of leaving it was we wanted to show the owners how good the sub-base underneath here CN built. I apologize to the front people who heard this. When CN built their rail grade, they really did a first-class job. They tended to make a sub-base right down low, and in the north it was shot rock. If ever they were blasting rock, they would put the rock in the bottom first. Then they would kind of put some layer that may or may not be good, but to fill the rock, and then they hauled about a foot deep, more in places, of a really nice granular, from most of it from the pit at the end of Wood Lake. The giant pit, it's a 10-acre pit. You can see it was all mined. That was mined by the railway. And they hauled it north and south a long ways, and it's lovely material, like as an engineer and a builder. So we left it because it was so good. We're going to change the drainage here. You'll see it now. It's called a crossfall. So before everything was crowned in the middle, we like a crossfall because it's easier to build, and it's actually sort of better drainage. And so you'll find us now, we have a big airplane wing going through. So anyway, the ballast is a big problem for us. In general, it's left on the sides as armor, or we're blending it in. We're mixing it up. By itself, it's not a good product. It's not good for us geotechnically. So we're determined to deal with it. When we find it, we blend it in or lay it on the sides. You can see how lovely the surface is. It's amazing. And what's good about it from an engineering point of view, when I say lovely, with very little effort, we added water, we compacted this, and we got the hardness. This passed all the tests. It's really great. It's a little too dirty, like it won't drain well. In fact, we had a water truck that wasn't doing, the valve didn't work on it properly, and the water wouldn't drain away. We left some puddles and left some soft spots because the water truck was faulty. But we're getting a great sub-base. The reason I stopped here was a couple of things. We tried to save bushes if we could. So see that bush and this one here are right in the edge. And so there were others in here we had to take to remove them, and you see they're chipped up ahead there. See the chips on the side? So those were right in the way of our grade. So we're going to leave them where we can, where it's geotechnically valid, but where we have to have a fill that we rely upon, they're going to be removed, because I know that's sensitive to people, but we've left as many as we can, and there's some good examples here. Every now and then there will be a turnaround. We're going to take areas where a turnaround can be made. That's needed not just for construction, it's for maintenance too. You know, if you got a truck that's picking up rocks or garbage, or you need to turn around, this is still narrow for a vehicle to turn around on. Like, so the garbage trucks and people coming out to service this will appreciate the turnarounds. We'll put them in areas, of course, that are acceptable. And this one turns out to be pretty nice. You get out of the sun first thing, like till about noon, you can get out of the sun, take a break, and so I think we'll have turnarounds fairly often. About 0.7 of a kilometer from now is a rock cut, and you can see where the grade kind of twisted a bit to fit in the rock, and we got our width by going one way. The rock is steeper and taller on one side, but we're on budget, which is good. We can do what we want to do. The most important thing is we can get our width in lots of places, and it's going to be, I don't know how to say this, good width. It's going to, I can't explain it well, but I keep jumping to Cow Lake. If we made the edge of our rail bed trail right there and we just fell in the lake, it's not as nice. It's not as nice for you, the rider. It's not as nice for nature. So the ideal way was to move over a meter and build, not stay dead centered. That's not the cheapest, but it's the ideal way. It gets you the most real estate, if you like. It leaves nature alone, gives you space on the wild side, and moves in. So I'm calling that move over 1 meter, don't stay centered. And we tested that in here for about 300 meters. And along Cow Lake, I now know we can do it for the budget, where before I wasn't sure if we were going to have to just crowd the edges. So I feel really good about the budget. And we needed water. We needed so much water. This was bone dry. It was desiccated dry. And in the end here, which is a little bit too much money, but we might have this. If people have been walking the Cal Lake section, it is some dry up there. We had a bucket up in the air here, and they were spraying the bucket with water to try and get the water in the soil so it would compact. And then what else do we have for equipment? We said the packers, and then we had a big grader, and sort of a couple of service vehicles. That's about the right equipment that we wanted to sort of test the size of it. We got our width by using the material in place. We didn't import here other than gravel material for the surface.
Well, you did bring gravel.
We did up ahead. You'll see we played around with a couple. We had a guy, we got a good deal on some stuff over here we wanted to try. So we've got a few things in here we want the engineers to look at. But right here there's none. And as I mentioned, it was done on purpose. When we turn around, we'll take from where we left off, and it's possible that the next piece will just stay finished, done forever, like as in it's possible. It might change too, but we would start where we left off, go this way and build, and we'll gravel this with whatever the final product is that people choose.
Dev, as you get near Kelowna, up to UBC and then up to the airport, what kind of width can you maintain in that area?
The same, 4.6.
It'll be the same width.
It's actually easier down
Essentially
there.
this.
Yes, it will be this. I have no doubts it will be this down south.
Well, that's wonderful.
It's the rock it's only the rock that drives us economically. We can't tackle the rock,
Right.
and nobody can. If you had to climb those rock walls, I mean, it's tens of millions of dollars.
So there isn't any topographic or
Nope.
structural
Nope.
issues with bridges and stuff?
Well, our bridges narrow down, pardon me. We do narrow down for the 7 bridges south of here. We narrow down to, they vary, but I'd say we narrow down to 3 point something.
Right.
But they're quite short.
Right.
The areas that I would say are problematic going south are it's too low and too wet. By the airport, it's a bog. So Tom Carney's old property, in front of anybody's been down there, it's a bog, and everybody played that golf course. You know, it's wet down there, and so we have to pad up in there, and we have to be environmentally sensitive to width to get our width, but that's allowed. They are so passionate about converting railway corridors from trains to people that they have developed this organization, and they have 41,000 kilometers of converted rails to trails, and they've kept track in helpful format to other people tackling this problem. And so if you're one of these people that likes to study all that stuff, like I do, you go in there and they are giving you helpful information, and they say to you that if it's like traffic counts for engineers, if you have multi-sets of cyclists and multi-sets of users, and they're going to be competing, you know, as I mentioned, dogs and wheelchairs, and you will have conflict. So people that have ridden the Galloping Goose in Victoria, you know, you'll know that. If you've ridden the seawall, you'll know that if you're going to have a lot of people, you're going to have congestion, and you're going to have their happiness will go down, their enjoyment will go down. So we believe this is going to be wildly successful. And we're determined to get the width now. Okay, let's walk up a little bit. I'll take you to a fancy name for when you leave a rock in place, it's called the tabernacle or a snake. We're just sort of making the trail kind of fit. We do get our width, just barely, and you know we need our ditches for drainage. And is that what do people think? That's personality. Yeah,
It's natural.
Yes. Good. So I think I'm glad you like that. I mean, number one, so if you asked a budget question, could we make this the technical width? Not in our budget. You can't chip the rock from here to Vernon and make our width. And so that's another reason why this was sort of the maximum we wanted to go. And we can snake it in here, like you'll see. It just kind of turns a bit. Personality is a good word. I like that, whoever just used that word. And if people want to see what I would say is the most indicative, we have to walk to the next red sign. There's some trials in here that are various products that are, we're playing a bit of an economics engineering game here. Which product can you get for the right price? And then there's a couple of other variables. People want to go to the next sign, see one more gravel, and people, any other questions? You're not going to see a lot more that's different. People are okay with the rock. This is an example where it chokes in. The big rock cut is up ahead a ways. And then I was going to say, so I'm listening to questions for public next Saturday. Revelstoke, they tear a mountain down there and they ship it by rail.
Yeah, it looks like granite.
Absolutely, this is still a transportation corridor. And it is, the 4 partners have legally agreed that it must maintain them. One partner cannot sell their piece off. Again, the railway built first class. The drainage has been fine. Now we're on what I would say is a very good indication of the product that will be used where we're not paving. It will look and feel something like this. So this is structurally very strong. This will take the wheel loading of service trucks. This has some drainage to it, but it has some fines in it. And so they call this a high fines highway grade, and it is meant for trails. This is used in Grand Forks on the Trans-Canada Trail. So anyway, if you wanted to say, what's it going to look like? It narrows up now because this is 4 inches thick. This is the hard surface. No, this will take truck traffic.
Yeah, good.
I hope single axle, just because it's too hard to turn around the big ones.
Yeah, that would be tractors going across.
A lot, you know, those tractors with a side mower to keep that 3 foot. Like here, you can see we saved the bushes again.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you got to keep that stuff here. They'll come in, the roots will come in and lift this stuff and pop it, and you got it like a good highway. You see them work those ditches, you know, 3 times a year they mow the ditches. They're not doing that for pretty. 3 feet away is okay, but not right here. And so what we're giving them is a 1 meter mowing area. We're not planting grass, but that you can take a machine, those side booms, you see them go around, and so you get cheap maintenance or lower maintenance costs, and you don't have it growing in on you. You know, you don't have it scratching your legs. Thank you all for coming out.
Yeah, thanks.
Listen, my hands off to you guys. You guys got us here. This community-driven thing has really been about you guys. The $5 million in the bank is from you guys, and I got to thank you, and future generations are going to thank you. So, no, really, it's wonderful what you're doing, and I hope this is something about what you expected or wanted, and I hope you'll keep spreading the good word. And,
Spectacular.
Send people out next Saturday, if you know, to come out and have a look for others to see, and hopefully we can finish the fundraising and get this built. We've had some wonderful donors, really we have, and they've been inspirational, thank you. They have been. We finished packing this morning, and that was it. The guys demowed today. We were done at noon today. So you guys are like...
Yeah, this is fresh.
This is fresh. This is still wet from the water truck. You couldn't be on much earlier than this.
Thanks, Dave.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you guys all for coming.
All right, I'm going to get a picture.
Hey, thank you for coming out.
This way, I think.
Oh, should we hold hands?
Yes, come on, Connie, there. You look like 2 teenagers.